welcome. Today we're talking about why it's not always okay to keep asking children to sit still and concentrate. And we're going to dive into why. Today we are discussing how movement helps children focus more than getting them to sit still. It's not okay to keep asking children to sit still, and I'm going to explain why. And I appreciate that for a calm, quiet environment as an adult, you do want them to sit still. But I'm going to explain a little bit about their biology, about their nervous system, and about why actually we're just like them. So most of us probably heard growing up, we probably heard sit still, concentrate, focus, stop fidgeting. And we probably still say that now a lot to our children without really noticing, because if you have something said to you a lot as a child, you tend to say it because it's there, isn't it? It's in your subconscious mind. So if a child wants to focus, surely they still need to have a still body and a quiet space. But if you've ever watched a child wriggle around on the carpet, swing their legs on the chair, or start rocking when they're trying desperately to listen, you know that something else is going on. Okay, and for many children, movement actually helps them focus more than sitting still ever could. Okay, now this might sound a little bit bizarre, might sound a little bit crazy, but it will make a bit more sense later on. And actually you'll probably notice some patterns that you do as well when you're trying to concentrate. Their bodies, they're not distracting them from learning. What they're actually trying to do is trying to help them to learn. So children's bodies are designed to move. They learn through their whole bodies, okay? They climb, they spin, they balance, they roll, they jump, they stretch. But it's not because they're these tiny little bundles of energy, which they are. You know, when their bodies are growing and there's so much going on, it is creating a lot of energy, and that energy needs somewhere to go. But it's actually because movement is how their brains organize information and make sense of the world. Okay, I'm going to repeat that as well. Movement for children is how their brains organize the information that they're getting so that they can make sense of the world. So when we ask a child to sit still, I'm talking for long periods of time here. It's okay to sit still and listen to a story for a few minutes, okay? But if we're asking them to sit still for long periods of time, their bodies are going to resist that. They're going to fidget, they're going to wriggle, and they're going to lose focus because they're trying to sit still like you told them to. They're focusing on that rather than actually the information that's going in. And it's quite easy for us to, because of our own programming, not because we're doing anything wrong, but we tend to interpret this wriggling and movement as poor behavior or lack of concentration. But very often it's simply just the child whose body needs movement in order for them to stay regulated and in order for them to stay alert. So think about how you as an adult may pace around when you're on the phone, or perhaps you need to take a walk when you need to clear your mind. How many times have I said to you about when we have like really busy, foggy thoughts, put some music on, start dancing, just shake it out, and it clears the mind. Children aren't so different. Their bodies are simply more honest about what they need. Okay, so what does movement do inside the brain? So when children move, their brain wakes up. Just let this lorry go past. Physical movement increases blood flow and oxygen around the body, which automatically then sends more oxygen to the brain, and it helps children process information more clearly. And it also triggers the release of important brain chemicals that support your mood, motivation, and attention. So this is one of the reasons that school teachers and yoga teachers often notice that after playtime or any kind of like outdoor activity, when they come back into the classroom, they come back calmer and more able to focus. And it's not because they've burned off all that energy in the way that we think, it's because their nervous system has had a chance to completely reset and organize itself, because movement truly does help the brain to learn. The nervous system needs movement to regulate. Yeah, the nervous system needs movement to regulate. Children can't focus well if their nervous system feels overwhelmed, unsettled, a little bit all over the place. And movement is one of the fastest ways for a child to regulate their body, by jumping, by stretching, balancing, even having a bit of a shake out of their arms or their hands. That in itself can release some built up tension and bring their system back into balance. And you might notice a child when they're upset, they want to stomp and run and shout and bounce or move their body in some way. Their body's trying to process the feelings. And once their body settles, so their mind can too. Now, some children need movement more than others. Obviously, we know that children are all very, very unique. Every human is unique. For certain children, movement just isn't just helpful for them, it's also essential. Highly energetic children, sensory seekers, anxious children, neurodivergent children, they rely on movement to stay regulated. And when they're asked to sit still for a long time, their focus doesn't improve, it gets worse. Their body becomes restless, their minds become scattered. But when those children are allowed short bursts of movement, like stretching, walking, balancing, even gentle fidgeting, something shifts. I was on a training course with a drama teacher, and she had one of those amazing fidget rings. I mean, they're brilliant. The fidget jewelry is fantastic, isn't it? And she said that she had a child in her class who was like, I can't sit still, I've got ADHD. And she said, okay. And she gave him like one of the fidget toys that they have. And she said, oh no, because this particular child she knew quite well, and there was some questions about whether he had ADHD. And she said, oh no, if you have this toy, that should help you concentrate. And it didn't, he just started playing with it. Whereas a child with ADHD, you give them the toy, you give them the fidget spinner, and it helps them to focus and tune in. And so that's, you can see how neurodivergent children need those fidgets. They need the jewelry, they need the spinners, they need the toys that you can use that just, gives them that to do, and it helps them. It releases that energy so that their brain can do what it's wanting to do. Their attention becomes much more steady and much more available. So it can feel a bit counterintuitive at first, I appreciate that, but allowing movement can actually support the very focus that you are hoping for. Movement before stillness works very well. So when I'm doing a yoga class, we do a lot of movement before I ever think about asking them to relax. We do start with a breath. We do start with coming into a place and just landing into our class and having a few breaths. But we quite quickly go into share circles or breath work or warm-ups. We do it quite quickly. We don't hold them still for very long. One of the reasons that children's yoga is so effective for focus is that it doesn't begin with, well, let's just be still and relax and do this, okay? We do make sure that movement part is the biggest part of the class. Getting them to move, getting them to stretch, to balance, to play with different shapes and explore their breath through movement. This helps their bodies release the energy and settle their nervous system. And only after that, only after they've moved enough, do we then take them into a quiet relaxation space. When the body's had the chance to move, stillness stops feeling like something that is being forced on them. It becomes something that they can just naturally arrive at. When that happens, focus often follows. So perhaps the most helpful shift we can make is to stop thinking of focus as something that only happens in stillness. For many children, focus looks like small movements. A child swinging their legs while listening, rolling their shoulders, stretching their arms, or changing position might actually be helping their brain stay present. So instead of the fighting of the body, we begin to work with it. And when children are given space to move in ways that support their nervous system, we often see something surprising happen. You'll notice that their bodies begin to settle, that their breathing slows, and their attention becomes much, much easier to access. Movement isn't the opposite of focus. For many children, movement is the doorway into it. And using yoga and mindfulness will always support them in being able to find that place to focus and that way to focus. So I have my Calm Kids Toolkit, which will help you. And again, we're not creating stillness here, we're not creating robots. We're creating children who can understand how to work with their nervous system and regulate it. And that only comes when they're around an adult who's regulated as well. So you need to look after yourself and you need to be regulated. So I hope you're getting your regular mindfulness practice or taking time out for yourself as well. But also there's the children's bundle, which is here in the comments. But if you want a bit more than that and to expand on that, there is the Calm Kids Toolkit. And this Friday, March the 13th, I am going to be going live at 8 p.m. and we're going to be talking about how to deal with moody children. What can we do to support children who are having a lot of emotions, a lot of movements, a lot of big stuff going on? So thank you so much for joining me today. Please leave a comment and let me know how you're coping with these kind of things. And yeah, let's support each other.